With us here on TVC Breakfast, is now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. First, we have a peek through with the Nation newspaper leading the way with Babachir Atiku not fit proper to be president. Ex-SGF dumps ADC. His allegations not substantiated, says Atiku's camp. Hayatuddin insists on probe of rigged primary. Next is the Nigerian Tribune. Babachir quits ADC, alleges Atiku's primary win rigged, claims ex-VP is a religious tribal bigot. He is a notorious conflict entrepreneur, not qualified to speak what is good about Nigeria. Published load of garbage. That's Atiku's team responding to Babachir Lawal. This Nigeria say in 2027, Atiku not better than Tinubu. Babachir hates ex-VP, alleges massive rigging in ADC primaries, quits party, exercise valid, says candidate. Next, the Guardian newspaper. Party primaries, divided opposition rejigs 2027 polls, line up 11 presidential candidates. The Punch newspaper, school abductions. Protest in Oyo, Ogun, as NUT begins nationwide rally today. Oyo public schools shut as CSOs demand abductees release. Ogun residents fear spillover. And the Leadership newspaper, bandits abduct 30 in Kogi, attack mosque in Kaduna, kidnap worshippers. Platform Times, Tinubu inherited decades-old kidnap crisis. NSA rebuttal saying that links Oyo abduction to long-running national security breakdown, assures Nigerians of final defeat of criminal networks. The Hope newspaper, cooking gas price hits 2,000 naira per kg despite rising local supply. Nationwide price surge defies increase in local production. Akure residents, traders lament costs, household pressure. And Nigerian News Direct, CBN targets 95% financial inclusion by 2028, launches Nigeria Payment System Vision. The Observer Times also says CBN Vision 2028, cash no longer king. To onboard 50 million unbanked Nigerians, deploys AI fraud detection. And Daily Trust says cholera kills 40 in Borno. And last but not least is the Spot Alive saying goal of year prize, Onuachu's kick the best. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks by discussing this with my colleagues, Olamide, Ria, and our in-house analyst, Biodun Show. We start off with the Nation newspaper, as well as the Nigerian Tribune, This Nigeria, all talking about, the division, especially in the ADC, barring, without prejudice to all other opposition parties that are now in disarray. Babachir is saying Atiku is not fit proper to be president, and also saying that Atiku's primary win was rigged. This is an opposition that's saying that we want to rescue Nigeria from whatever. We have the best plans, we have the best this. They are actually accusing themselves of rigging primary election, and according to Yoruba, they say yam pepe scatter scatter.
That is Yoruba will also say, Oshelu. This is Oshelu, Oshelu for you. Political theorists call this the opposition coordination problem, and we've seen it in Kenya. We've seen it's always present. You have an incumbent that you hope to defeat, and somehow you can't seem to coordinate yourselves enough to take that incumbent off his seat. Babachir Lawal, he used some very, very inflammatory words against Atiku. Some of those words could be described as dangerous. Absolutely. He called him a northern slaw. If you don't have any claims, any facts or statistics or data to substantiate your claims against this person, let's keep it political. Let's not bring religion into it. Let's not weaponize terrorism, because the Nigerian populace right now is hurting. We're trying to heal from terrorism. We're trying to regroup ourselves. So you knew that would get to people, accusing him of aiding and abetting terrorism, if you will, because you called him a warlord. So that was very, very dangerous. But Babachir Lawal, if you don't have the facts to support it, stay out of it. And his voice is very, very potent. He's a key northern political figure. Right. He's been instrumental in various opposition politics, and he's the former Secretary General to the Federation. So Absolutely. People are listening to what he's saying and hanging on his every word. Well,
people would describe Babachir Lawal as a very bellicose person, someone who is ready to fight, who is ready to do anything, say anything, including fighting our own presenter, Elifemi Oguntoye, asking him to shut up on national TV. And, this is someone that Atiku's camp has actually responded to, saying that Atiku's team, they said that Lawal accepted the same primary process in Adamawa State, where his cousin Omar Suleiman emerged as the ADC governorship candidate, making his outrage hypocritical. They also took us back to the grass cutting, scandal.
Yeah.
Which involved Babachir Lawal. What say you to this?
But when we talk about the ADC, the way they came and said they wanted to rescue Nigeria, now they are rescuing themselves, if you ask me. But the comments that they have
they are rescuing themselves.
They have to rescue themselves at this point.
Absolutely.
And now when we look at the comments that he made, it's quite surprising to me because you were in this party, you believed in this party. So how come all of a sudden, you're just throwing shades at this party? Then it takes me to the question that, is it about you yourself or about the betterment of Nigeria? Because if you were in that party, of course, you believed in that person, you believed in the ideologies of the party. So why is it that it did not go your way and right now you believe that now this person is, an evil maker? This is not me saying I'm do any support for Atiku, but I just believe that if you were part of something, why all of a sudden you believe that that thing is not true?
Absolutely.
And now when we speak about, the ADC as well and talking about these primaries that they actually had, it's very funny that I'm seeing all this confusion because if Atiku emerged as the the flag bearer of the standard bearer of this particular party, if you ask me, if you believe in this person, why don't you just follow the person rather than bring out all these kind of things? Now the things that they are bringing out is not just bad to him as a person, it's bad to him as a party because nobody would now take the ADC serious again because now the confusion has left about taking the incumbents to now fighting yourselves.
Right.
Where do you go forward from that?
Absolutely. So talking about it now, using another newspaper, which is the Guardian newspaper, talking about party primaries, divided opposition rejects 2027 polls, line up 11 presidential candidates. So we can see Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi. We also see Adebayo of the SDP, Jonathan of the faction of PDP, who has not even said that he's willing to contest, Makinde of the APM, and we also have Duke, and so on and so forth. So we see that the APC has consolidated his own presidential candidates. NDC too, we have Peter Obi and Kokonso, etc. And all of this, but the opposition remains divided.
Is there really any opposition? Let us be honest with ourselves. Look, these are guys who came together to form a coalition, including Ashim Olawepo Gbenga, who is now their called party flag bearer. They all came together under the guise of we want to remove Tinubu, not because they want to improve the lot.
Sorry, let me just inform our producer to flash the Guardian newspaper. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. So when you actually look at the whole idea, they all want to be president, but they want to remove one person, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they all want to be president at the same time. You will not be surprised when the whole thing falls off. So they are all in different camps currently, as they have. In relation to Babachir Lawal and Atiku, look, come on. Just go and read My Watch by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Do you need any soothsayer to tell you who Atiku is? You don't. Look, honestly speaking, those who rig privatization process would always rig primary elections.
Absolutely.
And so, therefore, when you look at Babachir Lawal, like the Atiku camp made a reference to the issue of the grass cutting scandal that led to his ousting, from government. Look, you are saying that, look, these are people who...
Bed of a feather.
Beds of the same feather. They are flocking together. Now, instead of rescuing ADC, I think they are wrestling each other. And at the end of the day, I think ADC is named.
I think they've also admitted that they are only making it easier for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to coast him to victory. But we'll see what happens. INEC is the final arbiter in this regard. Let's move on to the Punch newspaper, Olamide, as well as the leadership newspaper. Ria, I'll come to you with the leadership newspaper. Olamide, school abductions, protest in Oyo, Ogun as NUT begins nationwide rally today. Oyo public schools shut as CSOs demand abductees release. Ogun residents fear spillover.
This has now gone past just, it was never just a kidnapping story, but I believe that it's a chance for us, for the state to demonstrate that they have the capacity to protect Nigerian children. It's a chance for the state to restore public confidence in school safety. It's a chance for us to change the narrative and show that Nigerian children are safe in school. This is what I like to call, or what I've been calling the Chibok shadow. Every school abduction invokes the ghost of Chibok.
Absolutely.
And it makes people ask, where are our children? Bring back our girls. Why are they not home? But we have seen, like I said yesterday and the day before that, one of the strongest state and federal responses to an abduction. And so we watch and we wait.
Absolutely. And the nostalgia is something that is really, really killing. Let's move on to the leadership newspaper. Bandits abduct 30 in Kogi, attack Mosque in Kaduna, kidnap worshippers. So this actually belies, the United States posters, saying that Nigeria's bandits or terrorists are attacking Christians. But we've often said that it is not about Christian, it's not about religion, it's about humanity.
And Ibrahim, I remember when when the US said that, the first thing I said is that anyone that loses his life, whether a Christian or a Muslim, is a human being, and every life is very important. But it's just sad to see, how regular we are having this news. In a week, you're talking about bandits have done this, terrorists have done this. And that takes me to the point where I say these terrorists, these bandits, they've now become very, very audacious. They've become very, very, they're so bold in the way they kidnap. We're not just looking at churches anymore. We're looking at mosques. We're looking at school. We can go on and on.
Absolutely.
And a lot of Nigerians now are asking where next, who next. When we talk about Kogi is a very, very important place because of where, it lies. And seeing this happen that, we're attacking a mosque, we're attacking a church, we ask ourselves, what is the way forward? We have been speaking about this insecurity for a very long time. What hurts me right now is that a lot of people will say, oh, it's because, it's a political season, it's because election is coming. But how many more lives do we want to lose because it's election season? We need to make sure that we fix this. We need to end this banditry, that is happening in our country,
Most
Nigeria,
definitely.
because people need to be safe. The main responsibility of any government is to make sure that the people are safe. If your economy is going really well and then you're suffering from insecurity, who will enjoy the economy?
Absolutely, that would be an oxymoron. Platform Times, Mr. Shomi, this is NSA Ribadu making a case for the federal government, saying that Tinubu inherited decades-old kidnap crisis, links Oyo abduction to long-running national security breakdown, assures Nigerians of final defeat of criminal networks. So he's saying it's assuring Nigerians that they're fighting insecurity head-on, but then it is not something that can be done overnight because it's it's over 2 decades that we've been facing all of this.
I agree with NSC Ribadu. I mean, how many Nigerians remember that at a point in time, 21 local governments in Nigeria had Boko Haram flags hoisted in them? Not one, I repeat.
Absolutely.
Are we experiencing that currently?
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree that terrorism mutates, into different forms, and we've seen the different forms in terms of kidnapping, banditry, and all sort of. And for me, it's not coincidental that there's a decline in bank robbery following that because of the high risk involved. So it mutates. The fact of the matter is the issues are being dealt with. We are moving away from an era of negotiations and paying ransom.
Absolutely.
Or organizing or allowing organized break of jail in Nigeria. This administration has moved away from all that and said, no, we are going to be tough on terrorism. We will also be tough on causes of terrorism. We are going to have to deal with this problem, equip all the armed forces appropriately, including Nigerian army, which they're doing, recruiting more soldiers. But we know at the end of the day is we still need state police.
Absolutely.
So the National Assembly, the Senate is probably resuming today or sometime this week. They need to accelerate actions on them in order to
Most definitely, including the 1,000 forest guards deployed to Oyo State. But then let's move on to the Hope newspaper. We really have less than 5 minutes. Cooking gas price hits 2,000 naira per kg despite rising local supply. Nationwide price surge defies increase in local production. Accra resident traders lament cost, household pressure. Yesterday when I was going home, I just wound down, asked the guy that helped me to fill my gas, for my generator, how much is 6 kg I needed to fill up? He said 13,000. I said, I just wound up.
and you zoomed off. It's a sad one. Nigeria is one of Africa's largest, one of the largest producers of natural gas.
Matter of fact, we have the largest gas in Africa.
Some of our proven reserves, are estimated at about 200 trillion cubic feet. That is a lot. When we even think about the contradiction that a decade ago, and even still now, there was a push to move away from rudimentary methods of cooking, charcoal, firewood. How do you expect to do that when there's a big gap and a disconnect between production growth and consumer affordability? It's not sustainable.
Absolutely, and I think the lack of infrastructure is also affecting us, and even importation has actually dropped from 1,600 to 200 meters or something. Ria, let's move on to the Daily Trust.
So sad.
Yeah, let's move on to the Daily Trust saying cholera kills 40 in Borno. We know this actually comes from proper hygiene, water that are contaminated, etc. We need to take our health serious, regardless of location.
And it worries me a whole lot because we see the rains coming, and when the rains come, it's when you see cholera really, really come out, in its true colors. We know what cholera is. It's something that it kills really, really fast. Right. And this is not the first time we're seeing cholera outbreak, in Nigeria, in Africa. What measures are we putting in place? The people in the rural area, when you tell them to be clean, how well are we talking to these people? How well are we making sure that the waters are clean? How well are we making sure that they stay safe? safe. It's easy to stay safe in urban areas like this, but let's talk about people in the rural areas where cholera really affects them. Now we're seeing Borno, we're hearing 30 people in Borno, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
This is not something we want the numbers 40 people. This is not something we want the numbers to increase. So what are we really doing for the people in the rural areas? When we talk about cholera, all my mind goes to the people in the rural areas because they don't really know much. And if you don't know much, how can you really prepare yourself? Some of them are bathing in the water. Some of them are even drinking the water.
Yeah.
There was a video on TikTok of a little boy in the river in a rural area drinking the water. It's
that same water.
That same water.
Yeah. So let's move on to Nigeria. I know how difficult it can be, you know, experiencing some of these things and seeing that, and you'll be asking questions. Aren't these people, educated enough? But
sometimes you even educate them, but where is better water? So they don't see better water, so that's what they believe they will drink.
Potable water is very, very important. Nigerian News Director, Mr. Shomi, saying CBN targets 95% financial inclusion by 2028, launches Nigeria Payment System Vision. Ditto Observer Times saying CBN Vision 2028, cash no longer king. To onboard 50 million unbanked Nigerians, deploys AI fraud detection. And we see our banking institution, being revitalized just to meet up with the global, standards.
The CBN has been driving the monetary policy.
Right.
We've seen a lot of gains and all that, particularly when you look at the capitalization in the banking sector. I mean, it's huge. You're looking at something in the region of about $13.5 billion actually flowing into the banking sector. In addition to that, even though the character of investment, foreign direct investment in Nigeria is changing, from long-term investment in industries and all that to shares and equities, but the fact of the matter is we still remain a magnet for foreign investment. The CBN effort in terms of ensuring that more Nigerians are included financially in the banking system is great.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the very last paper, Sports and Life, where we have just about a minute to talk about this. Goal of the Year prize, Onuachu's Kick, the best. Paul Onuachu has officially won the Turkish Super League Goal of the Season Award 2025-2026 campaign, and that's a good one. That's on one side. On the other side, which you mentioned yesterday, Amoshon sets new 12.28 second record to win goal, talking about Diamond League in Rabat. I just thought to take that because of Olamide and Ria.
Thank you very much.
Just to allow the shoulder part to go high.
We're ready to tackle.
Well, let me tell you, the shoulder part is already up. So.
And also, in addition, Anthony Joshua is now set, he has signed a contract to fight Tyson Fury.
Absolutely.
Which I'm very skeptical about, Mr. Shomi. I'm very skeptical about that
he has a fight currently in Saudi Arabia, before that fight with Fury, to make sure he's in good shape. And the fight has been moved from Riyadh, to Saudi Arabia's second largest city, which is Jeddah. So I'm hoping, we should hope Anthony Joshua will win that fight and then face Tyson Fury and demolish him.
Mr. Shomi, did you know that I box? My riding is impeccable, seriously.
And it's done. You are boxing with your dog in your parlor. There's a soldier Joshua standing strong for friends and families. All right, then, that's about it for the newspapers up for review. Still to come, with insecurity and school abduction still a major concern, will the deployment of 1,000 forest guards and special rescue teams be enough to truly secure vulnerable communities and restore public confidence? Join us after this break. We'll be right back.